There's something beautifully mysterious about the deepest spiritual teachings. They often present us with paradoxes that challenge our ordinary way of thinking. In Chapter 10 of the Diamond Sutra, we encounter one such profound paradox that can transform our entire approach to spiritual growth and daily living. The Buddha shares something remarkable about his own journey. When the Tathagata studied under Dipankara Buddha, he did not receive any Dharma. At first glance, this might seem confusing. How can a student learn from a teacher without receiving anything? But this points to something extraordinary about the nature of true awakening. Enlightenment isn't something we can grasp like picking up an object from a shelf. It's not a commodity to be transferred from teacher to student. The deepest realization comes when we understand that what we're seeking was never separate from us to begin with. The Diamond Sutra reminds us that awakening is more like remembering who we already are rather than becoming something new. This understanding completely transforms the traditional teacher-student dynamic. Instead of desperately trying to receive something from an external source, we begin to recognize that the wisdom we seek is already present within our own awareness. The teacher simply helps us see what was always there, like pointing to the moon that was shining all along. The second paradox the sutra presents is equally profound. One who transforms the world does not transform the world. That is to transform the world. This beautiful contradiction reveals something essential about how genuine change actually happens. When we approach transformation with a grasping mind, trying to force outcomes or control results, we often create more resistance and suffering. True transformation flows naturally when we release our attachment to being the transformer. It's like trying to smooth water with your hand. The more you push, the more turbulence you create. This doesn't mean we become passive or disengaged from the world's needs. Rather, we learn to act from a place of deep understanding that sees beyond the dualistic notion of someone who transforms and something being transformed. When we release our ego's need to be the one making changes happen, we actually become more effective instruments of healing and peace. Think about the most transformative people you've encountered in your life. Often, they weren't trying to change you at all. Their very presence, their way of being, naturally invited transformation. They embodied the change they wished to see, without attachment to whether others followed their example. At the heart of these teachings lies an invitation to cultivate what the Buddha calls a pure mind. But this purity isn't about rejecting our human experience or trying to escape from the world of senses and emotions. The pure mind that the Diamond Sutra points to is one that remains free even while fully engaged with life. It's like the sky that remains vast and clear whether clouds are present or absent. The clouds don't stain the sky, just as our thoughts and experiences don't have to disturb our fundamental peace. This kind of mental purity allows us to experience life's full spectrum: joy and sorrow, success and failure, connection and solitude, without being thrown off balance. We can feel deeply without drowning in our emotions. We can think clearly without being enslaved by our thoughts. Cultivating this pure awareness requires a gentle practice of non-attachment, not the cold detachment of indifference, but the warm spaciousness of a mind that doesn't cling. When we practice forgiveness, we're actually practicing this kind of purity, letting go of our need to hold on to resentment and opening to the freedom that's always available. The Buddha's instruction that the mind should act without any attachments offers us a revolutionary approach to living. This teaching can initially seem confusing or even frightening to our ordinary way of thinking. We might worry that acting without attachment means becoming cold, uncaring, or ineffective, but the opposite is actually true. When we release our desperate grasping for specific outcomes, we become more present, more compassionate, and ultimately more skillful in our actions. Imagine a skilled musician playing a beautiful piece. They're not attached to each individual note, desperately grasping to make it perfect. Instead, they allow the music to flow through them, responding moment by moment to what the piece requires. This is the kind of non-attached action the Diamond Sutra points toward. When we act without attachment, we're not driven by fear, desire, or the need to prove ourselves. We can respond to life situations with clarity and wisdom rather than reacting from our conditioned patterns. This doesn't mean we don't care about outcomes, too. It means we care so deeply that we're willing to let go of our personal agenda for the sake of what truly serves. For those walking the Bodhisattva path, the way of awakened service, this teaching illuminates something crucial about compassionate action. The greatest service we can offer doesn't come from a sense of separate self trying to help other separate selves. True compassion flows naturally when we release our attachment to being the one who helps or transforms others. It's like water flowing downhill. There's no effort or strain, just a natural movement toward where it's needed most. When we let go of our identity as the helper, the teacher, or the one who has it all figured out, we create space for genuine connection and healing. People can sense when we're trying to fix them versus when we're simply offering our presence and authentic care. The latter is far more transformative. This understanding revolutionizes how we approach relationships, parenting, teaching, and any form of service. Instead of carrying the heavy burden of trying to change others, we can focus on embodying the qualities we wish to see in the world. We become living examples of peace, compassion, and wisdom, trusting that this has its own natural influence. The Diamond Sutra ultimately points us toward what Buddhism calls the middle way, a balanced approach to spiritual life that neither rejects the world nor becomes entangled in it. We can engage fully with our responsibilities, relationships, and daily activities while maintaining the spacious awareness that recognizes the empty nature of all phenomena. This emptiness doesn't mean things don't exist. It means they don't exist in the solid, separate way our minds usually perceive them. Living this middle way means we can care deeply without attachment, love without possessiveness, and serve without the burden of thinking we're responsible for others' happiness. We can experience the full richness of human life while maintaining our connection to the peace that surpasses understanding. This balanced approach allows us to be spiritual practitioners without becoming otherworldly or disconnected from the very real needs of our communities and planet. We can work for justice, practice forgiveness, build meaningful relationships, and pursue our goals while holding it all lightly, knowing that our deepest identity transcends any role we play. As you reflect on these teachings from the Diamond Sutra, notice how they might transform your approach to whatever challenges or opportunities you're currently facing. What would it mean to engage with your life without the desperate grasping that so often creates suffering? Perhaps today you can experiment with acting from this place of non-attachment, not cold indifference, but warm engagement without the need to control outcomes. Notice how this shift in perspective might bring more peace and effectiveness to your daily activities. If these insights resonate with you, consider sharing this message with someone who might benefit from these ancient wisdoms about living with greater freedom and peace. In a world that often feels chaotic and overwhelming, these teachings offer a pathway to inner stability and genuine service. May you find the courage to act without attachment, the wisdom to transform without grasping, and the peace that comes from recognizing your true nature beyond all roles and identities.